You're tuned into Lunatik Wit A K, brought to you by Paperhound TV.
Today, May 3rd, is the one-year anniversary of Kendrick Lamar's Meet the Grams, which was K-Dot's third release in the rap battle beef with Drake, and just before Kendrick dropped the nuke to end it all with Not Like Us. Little did we know, embedded in the lyrical tiramisu layers were breadcrumbs that led down a rabbit hole that leads to the YOLO estate of Drake, located in the California community of Hidden Hills, where some potentially damaging accusations of Drake and his wild escapades were brought up on DJ Academic's Off the Record podcast by DJ Vlad.
I will say, though, you know what I was impressed by? With all the shit and say Not Like Us and everything, people talking about Drake, not one chick even erroneously filed a lawsuit or like, I thought there was going to be a few of those to take advantage of the moment. And there's been not one person that's accused Drake of anything.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if some shit starts coming out. Well, from what I understand, when Drake first moved to like Hidden Hills, like they were wilding out in that house. And him and his homies were doing some shit that probably got covered up somehow. You know what I'm saying? And now maybe people got paid.
I remember this partying. No, not like.
I heard some stories, you know, but I'm not going to mention them.
There was getting it in type shit.
I mean, some things could happen around that if certain people really started to make a lot of noise, but I think
maybe he's paying them off. Like, yo,
I think Drake is just paying them off, and so
the YOLO estates in Hidden Hills were purchased by Drake 13 years ago in 2012 for $7.7 million. Remember this timeline as it will come into play later. Rick Ross releases a diss track about Drake titled Champagne Moments. In a song breakdown, The Ville uncovers the connection between the diss track and Hidden Hills.
Rick Ross had talked about this song later on. Eventually, he had came out and had made this song where he had dissed Drake. And this was Champagne Moments. This was a song that had came out right before the beef had kicked off with Kendrick Lamar. But it's what Rick Ross says at the end right here is what catched a lot of people's attention. Right here, Rick Ross says, I unfollowed you because you sent a mother effing cease and desist to French Montana. You sent the police, hated on my dog's project. That wasn't the same person that I seen when we were making them early records. Now Rick Ross is saying that he has sent the cease and desist to French Montana because of this record. We could confirm that because eventually it had been reported on the news. It says Drake did send French Montana a cease and desist. It says here that he eventually had sent it. And then this is when they had talked about Rick Ross, talking about how he didn't like that he did that to French Montana. But it doesn't end there, because when we watch the music video for this song, there's a part that Rick Ross says in the song that caught my attention with the music video. He says, told y'all guys to stay scheming. I predicted my fate. Got more money than you. If you want me to say 50 mil for the crib where you want me to stay. And I think it's important when he says this, 50 mil for the crib where you want me to stay, because in the music video, when he says that, this pops up right here.
50 mil for the crib where you want me to stay.
So he says 50 million for the crib where you want me to stay, implying that he's talking about a house. What are you talking about, a house on the Hidden Hills? Because then Rick Ross has shared the shirt, the back of his shirt says Hidden Hills. So now I'm thinking, well, wow, does Rick Ross know what's going on with Hidden Hills? Does Rick Ross know what's going on with what DJ Vlad had talked about?
So as you can see, it looks as if even Rick Ross has some type of knowledge of the rumors and allegations that surround Drake and his YOLO estates in Hidden Hills. In Kendrick's song Euphoria, K-Dot states,
but don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you.
But a narcissist wouldn't have gotten that memo and probably would respond with what matters to a family.
I heard that one of them little kids might be day free.
And we all know that after that, we all ended up meeting the Grams.
I've been in this industry 12 years. I'm going to tell y'all one little secret. There's some weird shit going on, and some of these artists be here to police it.
Now Meet the Grams shifts to being more personal than a rap beef. Meet the Grams introduces us to individual concern delivered as a letter written to each of Drake's immediate family members. In the verse that was directed towards Drake's mom, Sandra, Kendrick says,
your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think niggas like him should die. Him and Weinstein should get fucked up in a cell for the rest of their life.
For someone to harbor feelings towards someone with such disgust as if they were pure evil that they were up against, it had to be something that the hood would never side with. And there are only two things I can think of that the neighborhood would never ride with as a golden rule of the streets, and that's snitching and PDF files. And from Kendrick's verse from Euphoria, he says,
Y'all know some shit about niggas that make Gunna wanna look like a saint.
Gunna was the rapper who some say snitched in the Young Thug Rico trial. Kendrick says he knows things about niggas that would make Gunna wanna look like a saint. The only thing worse in these streets than a snitch that would make a snitch look like a saint is a PDF file. And that right there told me the shot over the bow of the ship by Kendrick wasn't friendly. But wait, there's more. On the Urban Legend podcast, Glasses Malone was asked by Will Evans if the alleged accusations about Drake were true, and his response was interesting.
I want to get into the allegations that Kendrick made about Drake. How much of that do you believe is true or know to be true, and how much of it is just hip hop?
I don't believe Doc said nothing that he don't believe is to be true.
Mm-hmm. And you believe everything he had like
sure
receipts to back it up, huh?
I don't think it's about receipts. I think we all just know certain things about each other.
Got you.
Now we come full circle back to Meet the Grams. There was a verse in which Kendrick penned a letter to a person referenced as baby girl. From the details of the verse, it revealed a possible second child that Drake has kept a secret, just like he did with his son Adonis, which he was exposed in the diss track by Pusha T titled The Story of Adidon. Adonis' mother is French artist, model, and former adult film star Sophie Brousseau. Some say Drake was embarrassed by his baby mama's former employment and was the reason behind the non-disclosure of his child. Now, back to the letter to baby girl. Kendrick mentions Drake missing her 11th birthday and not being there to sing poems with her. Is there an 11-year-old daughter that Drake is hiding? Now for the climax of this story. Since today is the 1-year anniversary of Meet the Grams, and Kendrick said baby girl turned 11 last year when the song was written and dropped on May 3rd, 2024. And if you go back 11 years from that date, you arrive in 2013, which in turn means Drake was living at the YOLO Estates in Hidden Hills, where DJ Vlad stated he heard about a lot of wild things happening there. Well, here is my theory of the alleged accusations of everything tied together. I believe there is a now 12-year-old daughter Drake is hiding, and this little girl was conceived at the Hidden Hills YOLO Estates, and the mother of this could have allegedly been
A minor,
which would be a good reason to hide the child so the mother would not be known, and the public couldn't do the math to figure out her age at the time. Most likely, an agreement would have been drawn up to arrange payments to the alleged parents and the victim in an NDA contract, similar to what R. Kelly did with Aaliyah and her family. Now that Drake is suing his label to most likely get out of his deal and to get a bigger one elsewhere like Sony, where his OVO label calls home. Why is the relevant? Maybe Drake's money is running low to continue making those NDA payments to keep any Hidden Hills secrets a hidden secret.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. Also hit that notification bell so you can be notified of all the content released. Paper Hound TV, the breed to be.